This is the Recycling, Scrap Metal, Commodities, and Economic Report, May 27, 2025. U.S. weekly raw steel production fell slightly at 1.72 million tons, up 0.6% from last year, but down 0.8% year to date. This is on slow U.S. manufacturing. WTI crude oil price fell to $61.53 a barrel. OPEC is not happy about near record U.S. production. OPEC is ready to ramp up production to win back market share. At a price below about $62 a barrel, many U.S. drillers limit drilling and limit production. U.S. weekly crude oil production rose slightly to 13.392 million barrels per day, still off December's high. OPEC production increases will lower prices. Lower prices will have U.S. producers lower their production. The U.S. weekly crude oil rig count fell to 465, the lowest in about 3.5 years. Low prices make some new drilling not economical. Scrap steel number one HMS price composite was steady at $311.67 a gross ton on continued slow U.S. and global demand. Hot-rolled coil steel price rose to $45.15 per hundredweight, which is $903 a ton. Price remains high after the 25% steel tariff. Copper price rose to $4.86 a pound on the U.S. dollar decline and on Chinese government factory support. Aluminum price fell slightly to $1.12 a pound, which is $24.72 a metric ton on high aluminum inventories and high Chinese aluminum production. U.S. weekly initial jobless claims fell to 227,000, which is trending up but still low. There is a relative strength in jobs despite high interest rates. Outstanding claims rose to 1.9 million, showing there is some difficulty in finding jobs. U.S. yield on 10-year Treasury note. Most mortgages are linked to this. It rose to 4.518%. This was on concerns that economic growth will not be fast enough to overcome the tax cuts and spending cuts, so deficits could rise like after the 2018 tax cut. U.S. composite, as in services and manufacturing, May S&P index. It rose to 52.1, showing a modest increase in business activity. Business optimism improved, but tariffs remain a concern. Prices charged for goods and services rose the most in about 3 years. U.S. April sales, single-family homes surged to 743,000, the highest in over 2 years. This was as there were builder incentives to offset the increase in mortgage rates. U.S. May S&P Flash Purchasing Managers Index increased to 52.3, the highest in 3 months. Factory production increased as selling prices were higher, but the increase in inventories drove the index the most. Wall Street's Dow Jones Industrial Average fell 1,052 points to 41,603. This was on the administration's trade statements against Apple and the European Union. On Sunday, the administration temporarily backed off on the European Union threats. Also, it remains a concern that the new tax bill stimulus and cuts are not enough to offset the tax cuts and will drive up the deficits as discussed. This is Greg Brown. As always, feel free to call or email me with any questions, and we hope all have a safe and profitable week.